Hello. So, it's time for what new feature it will completely shake Minecraft with Minecraft Live.
G'day ladies and gents, g'day ladies and gents, g'day ladies and gents, keep
Watching
here.
video.
Next video introducing cyclical crafting systems. My next video about synchronous dropper auto crafters. A video covering the basics of auto crafting. Our first auto crafter is a simple block compactor. The here is a 1x-tilable design that utilizes a feed tape. The way this works is, because we can only put in 5 items at a time, this can handle 3x3 recipes and focus on making a new and better design. Here it is. Universal auto crafter. The auto crafting table is great and all, but some recipes are especially difficult. G'day ladies and gents, Cubic Meter here. It turns out I missed a lot in the most recent Minecraft Live. I mean, at that time,
Yeah,
falling
can you
asleep
blame him?
already asleep. So fat rip for us Aussies. But when I did finally catch up with the new features, I was pleasantly surprised to find this. An auto crafting
The
table
crafter.
in vanilla Minecraft. Now, if you're
Yes,
a true veteran of the
unfortunately.
channel, you might remember my first videos about an auto
Honestly,
crafting
this feels
table
like modded Minecraft. Minecraft will never ever be the same.
first, but at some point I had to move on to projects more relevant to the vanilla Minecraft experience. And this is generally the problem with features not being in the vanilla game. Minecraft is a game about exploration and discovery, and often we want to share these discoveries. But if the discovery uses a feature that does not come with the official game distributed by the Minecraft launcher, it presents a barrier to the shared gameplay experience. The principle of auto crafting is very simple. Instead of the crafting table being a GUI only usable by the player, instead make it an inventory that can store items in the crafting slots. In the original mods, there were 2 competing implementations of the auto crafting table. Skyrising's Quick Carpet implemented an option that would make all crafting tables behave like inventories. This was incredibly powerful because you could input ingredients and magically get crafted items out. This was very intuitive.
Hey,
You
here's
just
stuff.
have items go in and items come out.
The items go in, the
However,
items
it had
come
the
out.
drawback of turning the crafting table from a block that could be easily moved to a block entity which cannot be moved. But back in the day, I was also a fanatic about movable block entities. Like, come on Mojang, the implementation is so easy that
Yes.
it's literally toggled on and off while you're playing. Then there's Nembon's implementation.
Yeah, about that whole movable tile entity thing. Yeah, we have that in Bedrock.
Called the auto crafting dropper, which when a crafting table was placed in front of a dropper, that dropper would perform the crafting operation with the shape of the items in its inventory, like so. By separating the item storage aspect from the crafting table block, it could remain a simple livable block. So it seems that Nembon's implementation was certainly the inspiration for the final product, which is unsurprising given that Nembon works as a developer at Mojang. So what can we learn about the current implementation of the crafter?
So this
Well,
crafting.
if you go to input items using redstone, they trickle into the slots one by one. Oh, and that's interesting. Once all the slots are filled, it will loop back around and start filling up the slots one by one again.
We're just in the trial spawner
You can
here.
also disable slots, like so. And this will force the shape of recipes. Now that is incredibly powerful. And interestingly, you can also remove items from the crafting slots with a hopper underneath. And it will
Wow,
remove
this does
items from
wonders
the
for
slots
redstone.
instead of removing items from the output. So I guess the only way to craft the item at the output is to actually power the crafter. This implementation has a lot of fascinating
Powering the
implications.
crafter.
For example,
I
in the
usually spam
original
power.
implementation of the auto crafting table, the way that the slots were managed was extremely unintelligent, meaning in order to disable slots you had to put in dummy items to force the item to skip slots, and then you had to remove those items afterwards in order to make shaped recipes. However, in this implementation, you can actually disable the crafting slots in order to force the shape of a recipe. There was also a massive limitation with the previous implementation in that once all the slots were filled, they wouldn't continue filling, meaning that the only way to get stacks of items in the slots was to input them manually with the player. The reason you would want to do this is that by stacking up the items in the crafting slots to craft an unstackable item like a minecart, you essentially get 64 times the storage density for something that is normally unstackable. A great example of where I've done this with the auto crafting table in the past is to greatly increase the storage density of minecarts or piston bolts. Something that is a bit alarming for me at least is that the signal strength for the crafter only goes up to 9 to represent 9 slots filled with items, and this also increments for slots that you disable. The reason why the range from 0 to 9 is not very useful is that we often use signal strengths of 15 in one-wide tileable systems to detect when a storage is ready. To understand why we want the range 0 to 15 instead of 0 to 9, let's have a look at this simple auto-crafting compactor, which will compact iron ingots into iron blocks. Now, the input of items for this is much slower than the output for items. So we'll want to stack
egregiously slow.
side by side to run the crafting operation in parallel to speed it up. And a simple way to do this is to make the design one-wide tileable.
Quite simple, isn't it?
And as you can see, with this implementation of the auto crafting table, as the slots fill up, it behaves like a normal inventory and ranges the signal strength from 0 to 15. Now, it's actually extremely easy to make one-wide tileable mechanisms that can detect signal strength 15. Trying to detect a signal strength of a 9 in a one-wide tileable system, on the other hand, is a lot less clean and elegant. It's also a lot more prone to being stuffed with by rampant signals. They definitely changed the range to 0 to 15 instead of the 0 to 9 that we have currently, because this is way more elegant. I should probably also point out this consistency issue where dispensers and droppers can both be quasi-powered, however, the current implementation of the crafter cannot.
Yeah, because quasi-connectivity is a bug.
Exactly like a dropper, it should also be possible to quasi-powering. That would just enable so many more options for powering it. Quasi-connectivity has already been established as a feature of the Java edition, so it would be pretty nice
but like,
to have
I don't like quasi-connectivity. I
into
really
this
don't.
amazing way of powering things. And before you respond with saying that Bedrock Edition doesn't have quasi-connectivity and that would
I
be
was
a
gonna
parity
say
issue,
that.
well, the entirety of Redstone is a parity issue between Java and Bedrock, so it wouldn't really make a difference. So now that we're going to play around with the crafter for a bit, let's talk about the Universal Auto Crafter. This is the ultimate goal of any automated crafting system, where you can take bulk materials, such as these materials for crafting pistons, input them in the corresponding crafting slots like so, hit a button, and then watch as the items magically fill the crafting slots. And our crafted product comes out the other end.
That's some nice
This
music.
is an extremely complex machine, but of course, it works. However, this concept relies on the modded implementation of the auto crafting table, which happens to be movable. The crafter, on the other hand, is not movable. And the main
It's gonna be
issue
movable
with
in
making
Bedrock.
this block do universal auto crafting is that you have 9 different slots which might need different items at different times. And unfortunately, we simply run out of faces to input items. You could do something like identifying patterns in the resources that go into each slot and optimizing for specific recipes, but in those cases, you don't end up making a universal system. I was able to get around this issue with the modded implementation by simply moving the crafting table under multiple inputs. So until we get movable block entities,
that's some nice
in the
music
Java edition,
that thing was
this is
making.
going to be an unfortunate limitation of the
Yeah,
crafter.
this is
But who knows?
cute mirror.
Maybe this is the update where Mojang finally realizes that changing a few lines of code to make block entities movable is actually worthwhile. So I'm certainly looking forward to seeing what Mojang has in store for this update, and whether they'll actually listen to the technical community about what features we need for this block to be useful in a technical setting. So that was just a short video exploring some of the technical aspect of this new block. with a more rigorous implementation.
Personally, I think the autocorrector doesn't need quasi connectivity. Anyways, bye bye.